Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a beautiful, gorgeous, sunny Saturday morning. And we are here today to talk about the all-time big question that I get, is everyone psychic? So we're going to have a little look at that today. First up, I thought that it might be interesting to go back and revisit what psychic means. And for that, I thought I would go to the dictionary. Isn't that funny? That I have never looked at that. So what I found that it said that it mentioned things that were outside of scientific or natural knowledge, and or a person who is sensitive to non-physical influences or forces. So that's kind of broad. We don't know what these non-physical forces are. I mean, a wind is kind of a non-detectable force. So what this means, I believe, is, let's just put it this way. It's about receiving any information or data from the external universe through anything other than those five natural physical senses. Or internal knowings even that happen based on internal change and internal awareness. So when we think of those five senses, let's remember something. They can trick you. We all know that. We all know it. All of those five senses can trick you. I've put lots of stuff in my kids' eggs and pancakes that they did not know was there. We can hear things improperly. We can see things improperly. There are optical illusions, sound, like all of it, touch even, right? So that these can lie to us. They aren't the most dependable things in the world. So we have seven senses, basically. That's what we have there. So we have the five physical senses. Someone who's intuitive does utilize those five physical senses in their readings. That does happen that way for me anyway. The sixth sense is actually the instinct, and that's located in the gut. So I need to talk about this one because this one is fairly well accepted. I love that police are like, yeah, I just had a hunch. I had a hunch. That stuff is trusted there. And actually there are a lot of people who maybe don't talk about psychic phenomena all the time, but they're known to be dependable in their instincts. So it's the same way an animal knows there's an animal around the corner before the five senses can detect that. It's not that uncommon. It's not that mysterious or enigmatic. So can we all admit that our body at the very least has some kind of a quantum sense or a physical radar that can let us know when there are things around or something just doesn't feel right? So that's number six. And then number seven is the visionary aspect of non-physical receiving of information around us. This one's harder for little people to, pardon the pun, wrap their head around. The seventh sense is the intuition. So please remember that intuition and instinct are not the same thing. And intuition, in my opinion, is when we have anything that's visionary, flashes, thoughts, things that come into our mind that way. All human beings are doing this all the time. You tell me one person that in the middle of the day can clear their mind for even 10 seconds and there's nothing going through there. I'll show you someone who's been meditating for about 40 years. Our brains are consistently moving. Think of slides downloading from this great kind of World Wide Web. And because the part of our brain, again, that receives that is the part where we fabricate things, it's that right hemisphere, it kind of flips through like slides going by really quickly. And then the conscious mind, which is aware of very little, really, it will pick and choose a few of those that it has emotions connected to, and there we have thought and internal experience. What I believe that most of us don't know is that there are flashes and images in these downloads that move into our consciousness from the physical world around us too, no differently than it does with the instinct. It's just that the brain, rather than spinning, it starts to form pictures and images around some of these things. So now there are ways to detect what is a psychic experience. If we get up every day and we have a thought of a school bus going by and a school bus goes by every day, that's predictive. And it's not guaranteed that school bus will be there, but that is not non-physical means. That's being able to watch patterns, which is also important in our spirituality. Yeah, if you get up and you think about a clown car going by, and one does, that is psychic, because that is not a predictable pattern or something that's going to be common. So if you're looking to develop psychically, the first thing I want you to do is watch your thoughts for things that are illogical or things that don't make sense, or there's no lead up reason why they're there. People from the past, experiences from the past, and maybe images and things that you can't make a connection to. So my answer about everyone being psychic then is this: at the very least, everyone has some instinct. There's no doubt in my mind, and even the people who are out there calling all of this snake oil and hogwash, and like, I'm sorry you can't see it, but even they are having several instinctive and intuitive and psychic experiences a day. That's the hilarious thing. They don't put it together to really be able to identify what that is or why it's there. They're not catching it, but I believe it's a natural part of being a quantum being on this planet, that we are connected like thousands of little interconnected wires. So here's how I use this analogy, and some of you have heard me say this analogy, and you're like, that makes a lot of sense, and that's why I use it. Psychic ability is much like singing. It really is. Everyone can. There's no doubt about it. Not everyone wants to. Not everyone cares. Not everyone should. Some people are born with the ability to do it naturally and move people to tears. Some people are born with the ability and they need to really practice and refine it, and they do, and they move people with it and enjoy it. And then some people just aren't singers. And that's what it's like with psychic ability and psychic capability. So yes, everyone is. Everyone just doesn't know it. And not everyone is curious enough about their own abilities and superpowers, which I don't get, but to actually get their ego out of the way long enough to look at this quantum universe and understand there is knowledge there on that energetic level somewhere. Whether we will ever define it here, whether we're on Earth completely or not, I believe no. It makes me a little bit agnostic, I guess. But those are my 2 cents on whether or not everyone is psychic. And one more piece from my dear friend Jackie Dennison. Shout out, Jackie, I hope you're doing really well. And Steve and everybody over there at Feathers. She told me this once, and this is a good thing to remember. All mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. And very quickly, that's one other question I get: what's the difference? A psychic might say, oh, I see you're going to go over here and buy a new house in March. And the medium will be like, your Aunt Janet, who passed from a stroke, tells me that it looks like you might buy a new house in March. So that's simplifying it, but there's kind of the nutshell version of what that means and what the difference is. So thanks, everybody. I hope you have an absolutely fabulous, gorgeous day. As you can see, it's bright in here, but this entire place is yellow, so it's bright in here almost at night. But I just want to say thanks to everybody. Enjoy your Easter weekend. Love one another. Stay the hell home. And we'll talk to you again in a short while.